Who do you think is going to win?
Man City will win.
From now till the end of the season, Ten Hag has to be playing for his job.
Okay, this weekend, big game. Manchester Derby, always a big match. Man United against Manchester City, 3:30 p.m. Sunday kickoff. Well, depending on where you're watching. At some place, it could be 9 in the morning. Bottom line is, United are going to the Etihad. And they haven't always fared well against Man City, especially not in recent matches. The first round, this team met, and it was a 3-0 drubbing at Old Trafford. United have not been very convincing in recent matches. Dramatically lost to Fulham last weekend. City, on the other hand, have won 8 of their last 10 matches. But maybe their last 2 games have not been very convincing. They've all been by 1-goal margins in the league. But then they warmed up for this match with an Erling Haaland hat-trick in midweek
Scored
in the
5,
FA
actually.
Cup. It's
Scored 5.
5. I beg your pardon. Hat-trick is not 5. Hat-trick is 3. He scored 5.
5 is Ayoko plus 1.
What is Ayoko? Ayoko is 4.
So listen, so it's not a game that United fans would fancy, or even the United players themselves would fancy. Every Ten Hag would fancy it because, after all, eras come to an end. Okay, so what is it gonna be? What are United really playing for? Top 4? City surely are chasing the league title. A couple of points behind league leaders Liverpool, who are showing no signs of stopping. Arsenal are ever improving. So they know what their target is. What are United playing for this season? Achu?
Obviously, top 4. For a team, and I hate to say this, but if you consider the United's transfer activities and the fact that the Amrabat transfer, it points to one thing. They are not broke, but it is a football club that is going through a period of austerity. So they spend what they earn, which means avenues like the UEFA Champions League is an avenue where they have to make money. Because if you look at Ten Hag's 2 years in charge, almost every transfer has been asterisks by if we get board approval to spend more income. Otherwise, Tyrell Malacia. Otherwise, it's been Amrabat, who they needed boardroom approval for extra funds to be able to sign off a loan deal.
Otherwise, Anthony, 100 million.
Right? So you find yourself in a situation where they need money from any source possible. And that is what makes the Champions League a must get. So I don't
to
think
do that,
there's no question about what their ambition is.
Yes, so to do that, they need to be getting results in games like this against Man City, not just only for the purpose of finishing in the top 4, but also for the purpose of making that statement.
No, for the manager to keep his job. Because so far he does not
Come
have
on, I'm not sure Ten Hag is getting fired for losing to Man City.
If you do an audit of his performances since he took charge, if you look at his body of work and the changes he was expected to bring, and I'm not even talking about titles or brilliant sustained football, but in terms of moving the team away from its ills at the time from when he inherited it, how much has changed? So from now till the end of the season, Ten Hag has to be playing for his job.
Especially with new owners.
Yes, because you have to show that you've got the capacity to effect the changes that the club needs. If Erik Ten Hag genuinely believes that the football culture at Manchester United is not broken, then he's not the man to coach this team. If he believes that the philosophy at the club doesn't need to change, then he's not the man to coach this team. So from now till the end of the season, he has to prove that he has the personality, he has the ideas, and he's capable of translating those ideas into reality and changing this team.
Do they have a chance against City?
They don't.
Wait.
No, they don't.
You're saying United they're getting blown away.
Here's the thing.
Straight win.
Here's the thing about football. You cannot stumble upon a strong performance in a game like this. It doesn't happen. You may
Ole's
get...
team was doing it.
Ole's team was playing football that was very reductive, but more importantly, well suited to the sort of football Pep Guardiola.
So it basically defeats what you said.
No.
That you can't just stumble on.
No, it doesn't, because Ole's team had...
Because Ole would be poor all season, but when they meet Man City, they were good.
He had made a habit of playing teams like that with that setup. And he had a rapid front four, right? Technically, very limited. But when it came to counter-attacking football, Dan James, Jesse Lingard, Mason Greenwood, and then
Rashford,
Marcus Rashford, they worked the treats. They didn't have to be creative. They had 30 yards of space in front of them just to run into.
They still basically have the same attackers.
I'm just saying to you that they did that repeatedly. And when you do that repeatedly, you build muscle memory. Over time, you find a way of plucking some of the loopholes in that team. You improve what is a reductive football, admittedly.
Ten Hag found success last season.
Ten Hag,
you beat them 2-1, no?
What is Ten Hag's football? That is the problem. And even if it is bad football, you cannot find any repeated patterns or periods where they have done what you would describe as football. Ten Hag doesn't have an identity at Manchester United. Every good thing that he did. And yesterday I was watching clips of his Ajax team against Real Madrid at the Bernabeu. And my word, they look so tactically well drilled. And how they could move the pieces around the chessboard to find the next available player to stretch Real Madrid. All of those are things he has abandoned. You don't see what he wants to do with this team. And that's why I feel that because there is no continuity, because there is no attempt to coach this team beyond its the squad limitations, to coach this team with an appreciation of the fact that it has been a badly coached team for years. And so there is a need to attempt to fix this team. All of these things are not present. You cannot suddenly wake up against Manchester City and then think that motivation will be enough for you. Look, it's a derby. Those things are important. But I'm just saying to you that unless there's a freak force of nature that creates two mistakes for you, that creates a situation where City suddenly have 3 or 4 players having bad days, 3 or 4 influential players having bad days, United don't stand a chance. That is the only scenario that I see United.
Is it really that straightforward? Because I feel
I've not been convinced with Manchester City for some time now.
That's what I was just about to say.
And I think, look, in as much as I agree with Achu, United
and his analysis of United.
Look, United have been poor. That as for that one, you can't go around it. But they've also shown at times this season that when they play a certain, let me say the Ole style against the big boys, they can cause trouble. You look at United game against Arsenal away from home. At 90 minutes, it was 1-1. In fact, at the point, United went 2-1 up, but for that VR decision.
They will come to Old Trafford, Arsenal.
No, but I'm saying the approach. United went to
I'm sending a warning to the Arsenal fans. They will come to Old Trafford.
United, they remember that game.
They will come.
Look, very well.
Yeah, they will
United
come.
went to Anfield. And we're all saying 5. It's going to be 5, 6, 5, 6.
That was a really good game.
Liverpool didn't even create a chance.
Yeah.
They didn't create an opening where it was Liverpool have scored. No. United were very well drilled defensively. And at the end of the day, United actually had the better opportunities on the counter-attack. Now, that is a template that most teams use to worry Manchester City. We saw Chelsea do something very similar. Although it wasn't necessarily sit back and soak in pressure, but it was allow Manchester City to have the ball and pick your moments, pick who to hunt down, pick your moments, and then catch them on a counter-attack. And the thing about City is that you know they will not abandon their principles. Mm-hmm. So that space in behind, that high line, it will always be there. Yeah. There's space behind the defenders and the goalkeeper. It will be huge. There's space to exploit them. And for me, United have, especially after the injury to Højlund, the fact that Rashford is the one who is up top. He's not a good player. He's not. Seriously, he's not.
Forgotten how to play football.
A good player is somebody that
he's not
a fan base.
Okay, how about
a manager?
He's not a top player, but he's a good player.
When I say good, I'm talking about in context, Manchester United context. The standard that I know United have. He's not good enough for Manchester United because
he's not a top player, but he's a good player.
He's not a good player. You can't trust him in a season. You can't plan your season around him. As simple as that. And if you can't do that, then he's not a good player. If he's a good player, then everybody is a good player. But the fact of the matter is that he has a certain skill set, especially when it comes to
that is best suited for
this counter-attacking football. And again, United have shown this season, even in the midst of their poor form, that they can turn up in some of these areas and cause trouble. I'm not saying that United will beat Manchester City. But I don't think it will be as dismissive as Ebachu is making it look like. In fact, because of how Manchester City have failed to convince me, I think that this is one of the games that they will struggle. I think they will drop points. United will get something out of this game. And it will suit Arsenal.
You agree? What would they come down to?
It is within the DNA of this club, Manchester United, to go and play in such big games, even when all the odds are against you. Go there, get a result, and go back home. It's within the DNA.
So,
But I'm worried because of the absence of certain players. I would have given key among them is Rasmus Højlund.
I agree. He was in the form of his life.
Because at the end of the day, it is not all the time that the pass will go into the space.
Yeah.
There are times where somebody will have to hold it up,
and lay on.
pat, and then the run goes pop.
Right.
That is what Marcus Rashford
Can't
would not do.
He can't do. When you say he will not do,
Yeah, that
it's
is
like
what
he has
he
refused
cannot
to. He
do.
can't do it.
It's not in his game.
Because Chelsea were able to expose Man City 2-3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Because Jackson could hold, block, link,
Yeah.
give it back,
And
and
turn
let
and
the,
find the runner.
that is it. United will not do that in Marcus Rashford. Look, even if Martial was 60% fit, you put him there, he would do
He could play that
excellent.
kind of game.
That kind of game. Go to, he will block, he will turn, and then pass, then somebody runs off him. That was how Solskjaer used to beat Man City.
Yeah.
Martial will hold it up, then Dan James and Rashford, just Lingard. The moment they give it to Bruno without looking on, pop,
That's
off
right.
the goal. So you must be worried. Again, I do believe that if United really do want to get something out of the game, I think for the very first time in a long while, which will not happen, they don't have somebody to play as a number 3. I will not play Amrabat as a number 3. I will bring him closer to Casemiro, like we saw at Anfield, where he was closer to Kobe Mainoo. Okay? And then give the young man a rest. Because look, this Man City team, what most people don't know, they are a bully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The bully. And I'm afraid for Kobe Mainoo starting the game. Because
Because of
if
his stature?
Casemiro doesn't get a partner closer to him who is very capable of bullying, Casemiro get booked within the first 10 minutes.
Trouble.
The game plan is over.
Which is likely.
Which is likely to
His
happen.
disciplinary record
So-
is not great.
I would have gone Amrabat, Casemiro. For example, last week, this is why I fought Ten Hag. What the
You mean against Fulham?
against Fulham, that introduction of Ericsson, that should have been Amrabat. If Amrabat was the one tackling Traore,
Traore.
he fouls him there.
Quick.
Yeah.
There's no way Traore is going past Amrabat. At the touchline, we end outside of the pitch.
Yeah.
Yes.
We get a room there.
We get a room there and the ball stays there. And nobody is what? Laughing at it. We are all satisfied. Yeah. So again, if we don't put Amrabat alongside Casemiro,
He shouldn't play.
I don't see how United will win. Because again, we are told Maguire is not fit. There's
Lots
no
of injuries.
There's no Lisandro Martinez. There's no Luke Shaw.
There's no left back.
This is the sort
no
of game.
Højlund.
This is the sort of game that would have warranted Onana, Dallo, Luke Shaw, Martinez, Varane, Casemiro, Amrabat, Bruno Fernandes, Scott McTominay, Højlund, Rashford. And then you keep Garnacho and people on it. Like the 2-1 last season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He came on and he
changed
did
the
the damage.
Yeah.
But you cannot be starting with Garnacho and people. And when the going gets tough, when you turn
To the bench.
Sanquans.
Who
Someone.
is the Sango? Anthony.
Anthony would be on the bench. 100 million
I remember when I was seeking for him.
Anthony, Anthony.
He won't disappoint me. Look, I'm telling you honestly.
We're good, Nimasi.
You said I'm good, man. You must say, you see, we're disappointing me. You understand? So, and Man City too, I agree they've not been very excellent. You want to look at what they did against Luton Town yesterday or midweek. They said maybe one of those. but against the big teams. Different. But United will need to play in a certain way. I agree with the K. Have certain personnel to be able to match up. For me, I'm worried for Kobe Mainoo. Because
If
Kobe,
he starts,
if he starts, he
could
will
be in
get
trouble.
bullied.
But
Because the way Man City play, they will push. Rodri is already there. They will push Ikanji or John Stones
namely,
into midfield.
the kid survived Anfield, and Anfield is
No.
hellish.
The Liverpool midfield,
They don't. They're not.
they don't physically
play.
bully.
Well, yeah.
That's the point I'm making.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's not a good
so
player.
you're just worried about his physique
He's of course, and that is what is going
because
to
he's a
come
very
down.
smallish guy.
He's a very smallish guy, and,
And
when
you spend a lot of time chasing the
chasing
ball.
the ball,
Right.
so he
and
when
Man
he
City
get-
will make you chase.
So you don't need that. Amrabat, Kashima, they will stay and wait for them. When they step into the zone, bah! And if Amrabat hit you,
And see,
Kashima
just to
hit
even
you.
touch on add to what coach is saying. If you watch Kobe Mainoo on the ball, he's brilliant.
But without the ball,
But without the ball, especially his defensive positioning, it can be
it's
a
very
problem.
bad.
And I feel like
And
he also
added-
wastes his energy a lot.
Is he on top of that too? Casemiro to some way in terms of his position.
Yeah, it is
he
because-
he can be dragged into certain spaces that you
Exactly.
don't. So when he goes, he needs
Somebody
somebody
who is equally
Disciplined
physical
enough
and
to
very
stay.
disciplined
and that is
and very
Amrabat.
physical.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You see, they should feel the sensation. If you allow Bernardo Silva and Co to be dancing Agbaja and Co in front of
Run
you,
rings around
he
you.
would dance pan logo, and one Panlogo comes in, there's a problem. See, when
I
you
mean,
show
thanks,
them-
coach. Thank you,
Look,
coach. Thank
it's
you,
going to be a
Clancy.
difficult game, but
Yeah. So that's our preview. Manchester United going to Manchester City. It's always a big game, very dramatic. Manchester derby, two teams from the same city. It's one of the biggest games that everybody looks forward to in the Premier League calendar at the start of every season when the fixtures are released. So let us know your predictions, how you think the game is going to go. When we come back next week, we'll see whether our thoughts were sharp and very sports on. I'm going to take quick predictions though. Who do you think is going to win?
Man City will win because United don't have
Daniel.
the personnel to
Draw.
do that.
3-1 Man City.
3-1 Man City. I think City will win too. If they want to win the title and they're serious about it, they better win
I
this
think by
game.
the time they play on Sunday, Liverpool and Arsenal would have played.
Exactly.
So they would have known
Exactly
what they have
what
to do.
it means. Anyway, so that's that for this particular preview of the Manchester Derby. Do subscribe, please. Subscribe. And importantly, turn on the notification bar so that when every episode goes up, you will be the first to see it there. And then also share, of course. But that's that for this particular episode of Mallam Go.